This is the second video where I am doing some experimental work with Wyoming, my Mustang mare, to see if some other approaches might be better suited to make her more comfortable in our education process. You'll notice from the start she's on high alert. There's some cow herds on the farm being moved, connected to her field, and she is absolutely tuned in to what's going on around her, which makes the potential work with her getting her comfortable and soft much more challenging today, but still worthwhile. For Wyoming and I to be able to work together as a team, she's going to have to accept the communication device of my choice, which is the lead rope and halter. And ideally, she needs to be able to accept working with those tools, relaxed, confident, and in a mode where she trusts me. If she's anxious or nervous about those things, I won't be able to get her thinking mind engaged so that we can partner. On this particular day, when I'm positioned in a place I could put the halter on, she is going into avoidance mode, and you're getting to see a lot of different avoidance methods. So sometimes she walks away from me, hoping that that will work. And sometimes she looks away. So her brain is with the cows and what's happening in the cow herd. She's not connected to me. And now she's grazing, but she's not relaxed grazing. And so you'll see me start messing around with my lead rope and flinging it in a way that isn't intended to create direct pressure to push her into an action, but it's trying to get her to let go of whatever distraction she's choosing instead of me and just be distracted enough to tune into me and ask me, maybe curiously, what am I doing? It's common in horsemanship to get a horse's attention by pressuring them so you become basically a bigger concern. What I'm experimenting with on this day is, can I draw her attention to me without creating a larger anxiety or fear? And right there, I begin to get a little of her attention. Now, as I put my hand above her neck, that's the first step in being able to halter her, because I reach over her neck in order to grab the halter. And she knows that. You can see that though she's begun to accept me standing there, once I put my hand on her neck, she is not okay. My hope as I work with her on this day is to get a change in her mentally and emotionally where she could accept with softness me standing in that place with my hand in a position where I could halter her. And so as she's moving, taking a few steps, as she goes to graze, as she's looking away, these are all ways that she's avoiding engaging with me in the uncomfortable place where I've placed myself. My aim is to find a balance where she's slightly uncomfortable. That's where we begin to push the limits where she can become more trusting and more soft, and yet not to push her bubble or threshold to the extent that she has to flee. So far, she's let me know she's uncomfortable by nipping at me sometimes, not with her teeth, but with her lips. She's gazed off to the distraction. She's tried to graze, and she sometimes will take a few steps to see if she can just walk away from me. And each time I do whatever I can do to get her to stay engaged with me somehow. So it's this position that I'm sticking with until I see a change. So I'm not going to give her a release, which is continuing to build some tension in her, because I just won't quite go away. The message that I hope I'm sending my mare is, I'm actually going to stick this out with you even when it's uncomfortable, but I'm not going to continue to push you farther until you're ready. Grazing is a pretty typical avoidant behavior, and I'm trying to make it less possible for her to graze comfortably and avoid me. And you'll see right here, she nips at my foot in order to get me to leave her alone and just let her basically disconnect from me. And even though I don't want her to nip at me, that's not ideal. And in the future, from that moment, I use the lead rope more, you see there, instead of my foot, which she can bite the lead rope much more harmlessly. But the idea is not to punish her for letting me know she's uncomfortable. I know she's uncomfortable. What I want is for her to quit avoiding the discomfort and go into it with me so we can work through it. So now we're finally coming to a point where she is starting to be present. She's still looking around, but her thoughts are not as distant and hard. After she tried to nip at my foot from the grazing disconnect, that kind of emotional high point or low point, however you want to look at it, seems to have brought us through a place where she's now seeing that I'm not going to just accept her disconnecting and being mentally somewhere else. And she's beginning to soften and to come together. Now, I haven't seen a true mental change yet at this point, and so I just hang in there with her. I absolutely could put a halter on her right then, but in close proximity, it was very clear to me that she still had not made a change toward being truly mentally relaxed, and that's what I need with her. I'm able to put a halter on her. I was even able to ride her, but she was never soft and mentally present. So in order for us to have success, we have to not just get the body working, but we have to connect the mental system. And so I still hang in there and I wait. And I wait until I actually see a real shift. So there you see her again disconnecting, but it's in a softer way. She comes back. She's not trying to eat. She's not nibbling at me. What I'm beginning to see is her disconnecting thoughts are softer than they were, but we're still not quite there. So I wait. And my waiting pays off because that's the change I was looking for. I was really pleased with the way that finished because of the change in her mental and emotional state and that release that finally came after I hung in with her. With this horse, I have learned that I can do things that create reactions in her body that are correct, and yet her mind is not with the work, which absolutely causes me problems going forward. And so getting her mind to begin to soften and stay with me is going to be a much bigger win in the long term, even if the process takes a little more time. So I'll continue to pop up some videos on the process with Wyoming, and you can follow along with me as I experiment and see what works and what doesn't. Thanks for joining us for this video, and we'll see you next time.